in some way, you helped the progression of where we are now.
It definitely was a conversation piece starter. Yes, it was.
Tonight, in an Arizona's Family exclusive, the guy once referred to as the pregnant man, now reflecting on how society has changed nearly 15 years after making international headlines. Back in 2008, Thomas Beattie was considered not normal by traditional society.
That's for sure. His life as a pregnant trans man shocked the world. He didn't live here in the Valley then, but he does now, and he has for the last 12 years with his wife. More children as well. And tonight he fills us in on what life has been like since the media frenzy around his story. Please tell me what this is. This is amazing.
We met up at Daily Drip Coffee, 51st Avenue and Bell in Glendale.
Do you have decaf Louis Vuitton?
Thomas Beattie, who's now lived in Arizona for 12 years, was once a household name, making headlines pretty much everywhere.
The world waits for Angelina Jolie to give birth to twins. The so-called pregnant man has already delivered. I know that they say they want to have a normal life, but is that really possible? How have your readers reacted to this story?
People were referring to you as the pregnant man. How did you feel about that term?
You know, a lot of people think, oh, that's a derogatory term, but I didn't take it that way because it really did describe who I am. I'm a man through and through, and I was pregnant. And there's nothing wrong with a pregnant man.
2008, Thomas, a transgender man, then married and pregnant with his first child.
How did they even find you, the media, to tell your story?
I was pregnant, and I went into the hospital with an ectopic pregnancy. And so I shocked the doctors, I shocked my neighbors.
About 5 years after that media frenzy, Thomas and his first wife, Nancy, divorced in a well-publicized court battle centering around if their marriage was even considered legal.
My ability to have biological children, that doesn't make me any less of a man.
Thomas is happily remarried with a total of 4 children now.
13.
12.
12. Oh,
11.
wow.
And then 3.
We're busy.
He now lives a relatively quiet life as a career stockbroker.
Does anything shock you about where people are now mentally versus where they were in 2008?
I am surprised at when my story did come out in 2008, how the world took it. Like, it was such a foreign concept, and there was so much resistance to the idea, and there was so much misunderstanding.
The CDC reported in 2020 about 1 million people in the U.S. now identify as transgender, less than 1% of the population. Washington, D.C. has the highest percentage, almost 3%.
You know, when I put myself back in that time, it was like this, just naturally, but to feel like I was living in a fishbowl, you know, that I was willingly speaking about my life in a public way. I didn't seek to do that, but once it did happen, I felt an obligation to do that just for the sake of it, just for the right of it, because I felt like what I was doing was important and it was right and it was good. It was good for my family.
How has your experience thus far that we've talked about shaped you? I'd like to hear how it kind of comes full circle.
That's a wonderful question, and I have to think that I had a lot of patience at the time because I couldn't materialize all of that in the moment.
Yeah,
I was
of course.
hoping for the future that one day it would be okay, that one day I'd have my children running around and we'd be a big happy family, in which we are. But at the time, I didn't have any support. I had faith in human beings that we would get there.
And I think there has been some progression. There are still people out there who don't agree with the lifestyle, but there has been progress, which is good for Thomas. Now, as far as Thomas goes, aside from his career, he dabbles a little bit in acting, does a little acting. He has a company, you saw the shirt, Define Normal, and that's his company. It's a clothing line. He's going to do a TV show, and the whole point of this brand is to keep the conversation going, to talk about the struggles, relationships, and overall just encouraging people to accept their definitions of normal in your life. So if you want to find out more about Define Normal, we do have a link to the website our website, azfamily.com. So very interesting to catch up. I mean, 15 years later, and this is where he is with
Went
his
by
family.
in a blink of
It
an eye.
It seems like it was just the other day we were talking